From the first time I started moving towards what I wanted in my life and really being serious about achievement and happiness, I have been wanting to figure out what the core is. What do I need to? What's the few things I need to focus on to make it, basically? Because it's always like that. You can always get lost in complexity and strategies and skills you need to learn and all kinds of crap, right? But if you can find the few things that you can just focus on and hammer away at, then you can really make a difference the fastest way possible, and you can virtually guarantee that you get whatever it is that you want to get. And I had that mindset from my other endeavor, which is guitar playing, and I have another website where I teach that. And it's exactly the same principles there. So in this case, how do you get what you want? And there's a mechanism within us, in our bodies, that will either help us or hurt us. And that is the way we respond to challenges. And if you imagine living in nature, which is what we've been doing for 99.9% of our existence on this planet, you've been living in nature. How do you respond to a tiger coming at you? You're out hunting and you're looking for the deer and then suddenly there's a tiger. Now, what do? What are your choices? Well, first of all, you can run, right, as fast as you can, so the brain quickly makes an assessment of whether you can outrun that animal. Let's say that you can't, right? You're not the long-legged freak in the pack where you live that can outrun a big cat, okay? So that's not an option. You can freeze, which means you can play dead. Other species do that as well. You can just hope that the tiger don't see you, or the T-Rex, right, who has a vision that is based on movement, right? But you can freeze. That's also an instinctual reaction, and many animals do that if they have no other option. But you can also fight the creature. You can attack. You can go, rah, right, and try to scare it away, or try to actually fight the tiger and see if you can win. So the brain chooses between these three, right? And these are the popular three, or the scientific, the fight or flight response, which is now updated also with a freeze response. But there's a fourth response that we're going to talk about. That is the worst, because that's something you do when you're a child. And if you keep doing that as an adult, you will achieve very little in your life. So this is important. So you can escape, try to run. Can we do that? No. Can we freeze? Maybe. It'll, trick the tiger into believing you're a tree or something, right? Or you're not there. You're dead. You're a statue. Or you can fight it. And if none of these options are available, it might not be. I don't think anything would work if you're confronted with a very hungry tiger. But there's another thing. You can call for help. You can go, there's a tiger! And then the whole pack, because we're a pack animal, right? That's our strength. You can't outrun the tiger. You can't fight it. You don't have any fur. You don't have any claws. You have your intelligence. But more importantly, you have other people. We human beings are the only species on Earth that can coordinate hundreds of thousands of people at one time into one single target, one single goal. That is just amazing. Birds can fly pretty in sync, right? But we human beings, we can do that on an unbelievable level. That is our strength. We can work as one. Other than that, we're pretty, if you're alone in the woods, living in nature, you're dead, right? Without other people, you're dead. So you can call for help. And if you do call for help, you might see 20, 30, 100 people suddenly appearing over the hill right there, and the tiger goes, and escapes, right? But most people call for help all their lives. It's a basic emotion, and we call that emotion we call it something that has a negative sound to it because it's called victim. And victim is basically a strategy, that feeling of being a victim to circumstances or challenges or other people is a feeling of not being able to do anything about it, right? And they did it to me. But the whole mindset of a victim, of being a victim to somebody who did something to me and feeling helpless, is a strategy that's supposed to enroll other people in helping you. That's why we have empathy. That's the opposite. That's the thing that fits into the victim state is empathy. Oh, let me help you. Oh, is he trying to, okay, let me save you. The hero comes along, right? But if we stay there, if that is our go-to strategy and it's unconscious, because nobody wants to live like a victim, I can assure you of that. It's no fun. It ruins your life completely. It makes you live in a status quo, and all you can hope for is things just not being any worse than they are. That's how it feels when you go to the victim strategy. But it's unconscious. We don't even think about it. It's like it just happens to us. Hence the previous video. Watch that as well. In fact, watch all the videos. They're all important. But so, being an adult, we have these rituals in native people where, mostly the boys, but also the women, they go from being boys, children, to being men, to being adults. And that's kind of a ritual. And that ritual is sometimes very barbaric in, ancient cultures. Like really harsh, like go out to the desert for a month and if you return without dying, then you're a man. What is that about? And why does every single culture have it? It's about going from having the primary strategy of that you're using is the victim strategy to being the strategy of the hero. The strategy of the responsible, powerful adult, the warrior, the hero, right? Because a child is a victim all the time. I couldn't get mine because it's calling for help all the time. So that emotion, that whole I never get any ice cream, right? That follows the victim. And when you feel like that, you never get any ice cream, even though you got one yesterday. And it just colors your whole worldview, and you won't want to live there. But most people, or some people at least, never really shed that strategy. So they keep going into it, even though they're adults, right? And so, but what that whole strategy, that whole ritual was about was to take a boy that's used to going and saying, help me, and say, now you're an adult, even though you're only 14 years old, but now you're a warrior, you can throw a spear, you can fight. So now we come to you for help. Women and children come to you for help. And I'm not talking about equality of gender and stuff like that right now. Now we're talking about the original way of living, right? But so you are what, and still we have the same mechanism between men and women. So don't get carried away with that. So now you're an adult, and the same thing goes for a woman. Now you take care of the children. Now you are not one of the children. So you are the responsible, constructive, powerful hero. That takes care of the people in your pack that has a right to be victims. Where that is their main strategy for surviving. Every time something happens, I can't run fast enough. I can't freeze. I can't do anything because I'm panicking. I can't do anything. I can't fight the tiger. I can do absolutely nothing but being a victim all the time to anything that happens. I have no skill, no knowledge. I'm confused. Help me, right? But if you keep relying on that strategy, which many people do, which every time something happens that you don't want to have happen, you go into the victim strategy, which means that you feel negative emotions. Right? When you're a victim, you feel sadness, you feel hurt, you feel powerless, you feel depression, you feel all of these things. And I know what I'm talking about. I'm not pointing a finger at anyone because I ended up being so depressed that I was paralyzed because that victim strategy just increased its power. It's not working. I can't get out of the situation. Let's feel it even more. Let's be even more depressed. At some point, says the innocent body and mind thinks. At some point, if I'm depressed enough, if I feel helpless enough, somebody comes along and helps me. I didn't consciously think that or believe that, but that is the underlying assumption behind the victim strategy. So we just increase the power. And what that means is you get more and more depressed, more and more helpless, more and more paralyzed. And it just until bling, it just stopped. The strategy just outlived itself. And then I stood up and I did something. The body simply experienced the futility of that strategy in an adult male being. And then did something else. But you don't have to end up there. You don't have to waste years in using that strategy over and over. You can be conscious about what happens. You can remain conscious in there and react to it before or act against it before it happens. But you have to make that choice. How am I going to live my life? And I'm going to be the victim or the hero. And when I say hero, the hero simply saves the victim. And there will always be some emotional reactions inside of you. And those are all childish. Those are all the emotions of a victim. That's oh, I'm frustrated. Oh, I'm helpless. Oh, I'm sad. Those always, as we talked about in the previous video, occur. But there has to be a hero in there that says, I will save you. I will help you. I will make it better. I'm strong. I will take action. Right? That's the hero. So, but I really recommend that you go back and watch the previous video and the one before that, so just understand the whole cycle here, because these are some of the most central questions. These are some of the most central challenges. And I'm not talking about so now I know, Claus, then I can just stop being a victim. No, you don't. But this is where you want to put your focus. This is where you do your work. This is where this is what you become better at all the time. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about the tools you use to become better at that core. Because you can work on all kinds of things, and I recommend that you do. But if you don't work at this, nothing will happen. You can be the best goal setter in the world. You can be the best communicator and the best, negotiator, and you can do all your rituals in the morning and take cold showers and go for runs and have positive affirmations going constantly. But if you don't handle this area, this core, this central piece, then all of that will be futile, completely, because you'll be broken all the time. So listen to this video again and again in your car, whenever you can, and the two others, and then let's talk about, in the next video, some strategies that I have found that works best in conquering these states, this victim state, and how you can gradually, and pretty quickly actually, live more and more in the powerful hero state. And don't forget to subscribe and go download our free course on our website. You just click the links below here and it takes you directly to it. And subscribe.